Hello, my name is Oscar Quesada, and I would like to take you into a day in the life of an ancient Egyptian priest during the New Kingdom era. So, our lucky priest today, on the left over here, is named Kartu, and he is lucky enough to be promoted from the lowest tier of a priest to the absolute highest, all in one day. So, in order to become a priest in these times, there were a set of rules you had to follow. They were expected to be clean all the time and had to bathe at least 3 times a day. They were expected to shave their entire body daily. They could not eat any fish and were not allowed to wear certain animal products as it was seen as unclean. And male members had to undergo circumcision in order to be as pure as possible. And these rules were essentially, like the last point says, to be pure in the eyes of their God. And instead of wearing basic animal products like everyone else was, they were expected to dress themselves in white linen, seen on the left with our man over here. Now, there certainly were different levels to being a priest, and usually the common priest roles were a bunch of citizens who mainly volunteered, as these roles don't really hold any power. They were almost like part-time jobs, but probably no pay. So, up first we have the Wabs, and what their duty was is that they were in charge of taking care of their temple. They also handled a various amount of miscellaneous tasks, and what that boils down to is just that they were just the janitors of their time, basically. There were many levels to a temple. You had the outside area, as you would go more inside, um, you would find various rooms dedicated to dead pharaohs to worship their gods, and they weren't allowed inside of there, so their duty was just to keep the outside area very clean. And they also were kind of like, I guess, handymen. They just kind of went out and did things for citizens. Like if they needed some work done on their house, or needed help in the field, they were there. So that was their job. Next up, we have lectors, who were in charge of teaching the clergy, and they would write down religious texts and to perform quote unquote sermons. Now, what I mean by that is that, they weren't out there every Sunday giving, enlightening these people with their gods, because in this society, they were already expected to already be followers of this religion. So at the very top of the food chain, the highest level of priests you can be are the Hem Netir Tepi, the high priests. They would personally be appointed by the pharaohs, and they were viewed so powerful and they were thought so highly of that they were involved with political forces, and they were seen as a mediator between the living world and the afterlife. Now, they were entrusted with upholding the very important duty of praising their God in the temple that they were supposed to upkeep. Now, they were allowed entrance into these rooms, and once inside, they would perform rituals to the dead pharaoh or the god statue. They would pray to it, they would clean it, they would give it offerings, and then they would sweep the floor as they leave, to leave the room undisturbed, as if no one entered inside of it. While all of these duties may vary in their importance, they were just as important as the other, because they were almost seen as like a true way of living their lives if they were really dedicated to what they believe in. They would also believe that bad omens would arise if not performed correctly, so they wanted to avoid every chance of that, obviously. And as so, these duties were expected to be performed every day by every priest, no matter what. That is how many of these priests lived their lives during the New Kingdom era in ancient Egypt.